start with Kirsten, third row on your left.
Dave, just with what you've seen from Yoshinobu this postseason, what excites you kind of for what he could bring for this first World Series start?
I think the thing that excites me is his temperament, poise, the ability to control his emotions, and still make pitches. So, first World Series appearance, and he'll be ready.
Good at Bill Plaschke on your right.
Yeah,
Dave.
yeah, Doc. Last night after you got home, did you watch a replay? Did you savor it? Did you have trouble sleeping? Was the adrenaline still going?
I did. I did. I got home, and then my wife, my son, my mother-in-law, we did some replay thing that you can do that I don't know how to do. My son put it up, and you could kind of watch the quick highlights, and so I saw all that stuff. It was pretty spectacular. Very spectacular. Yeah.
Go a little bit. Oh, got it. So we'll go. Who's up next? We had Clinton or Shy first, just because you're there, and then Clinton.
Dave, in the ninth inning there when you chose to walk Soto, and obviously it's a pretty tough gauntlet to navigate. How are you factoring or where you're picking your poison between those three guys, and how much does them being left, right influence some of your decisions in that setup?
It's certainly a pick your poison type of situation. I think I've got to kind of weigh, the moment, the today's game. That's why I sort of thought about potentially shorten Kopech a little bit on his pitch count to have him ready, feeling frisky for tonight's game. The particular matchup, I just felt, right there, the game was on the line, and it certainly wasn't ideal to have Blake do an up-down in game one, but I just felt that, that was the game for me at that point in time. So that was kind of the thought, and it never feels good to get to judge.
Third row on your right, Dave. Clinton.
Dave, it's one thing for you to come home and have your moment and wake up and say it's just another day. How do you take that temperature amongst your guys, though, in terms of, hey, that was historic last night, but we've got this game too. Here's what we're doing.
So I've made my way around. Guys, we celebrated the heck out of last night, as I thought we should have. But today, it's a new day, and guys are back to work. So I do think that there's some kind of momentum, excitement, that will kind of carry over to tonight's game. But as far as kind of just sitting back on last night's game, that's over.
Juan, right in the second row here.
Dave, do you know what you're going to do with your pitching plans for the next for game three?
Walker will start game three.
And what kind of went into going with Walker in three as opposed to maybe a bullpen game and vice versa?
I think it's just we just love Walker in big games. The road isn't going to phase him. It also allows him potentially to be available for Game 7 too.
A little bit further back, Jack.
Hey, Dave, with the Trinan last night in the 10th, were you surprised how well they ran the bases against him? And is that something where he's just got to be quicker to the plate in those spots, or how do you kind of weigh that?
Wasn't surprised. You're just trying to weigh the fact that, if Blake's a 1-2 to the plate, his stuff could could fall back, come back. I just think that, we can't give up the stolen base to Jazz to go to third base. That's the one that really was costly. But, Blake's a guy that people run on. And so, but we got to still manage that a little bit better, yeah.
And then was Gavin okay after he slipped going around?
Yeah, he was good. I just felt that, after taking his at-bat, I felt kind of still trying to make sure Gavin gets to the next day feeling good. A potential bang-bang play at home. There was also, with the left-hander coming in, if there's an opportunity for CT to steal third base, I felt he was a much better candidate. So all that was kind of my decision.
Tyler, far back on your right.
Dave, you got some good work in the middle there from Gratterall and Vesia. You don't have Phillips, obviously, but what do Gratterall and Vesia bring, and what makes them effective?
What they bring is experience. They're both neutral guys. It's a different look as far as Gratterall. It's a hard cutter. It's a boring sinker. So that's sort of different than most of the guys. And with Vesia, it's just he's a neutral guy. He fills up the strike zone, and he's an uncomfortable at bat for both sides of the plate.
Third row on your left, Kirsten.
Dave, just quickly, with Freddie Freeman, how different does it feel managing him this series compared to the CS and the DS, just considering having those 5 days off and what you're seeing him even running the bases yesterday? He seemed to be, yes, I'm sure in some pain, but he just looked more comfortable.
So, yeah, I mean, there was still a lot that he incurred as far as kind of stuff last night. There's some soreness today, but yeah, I mean, I think that I was on pins and needles each game in the DS and the CS. So I do feel that we're in a better spot, and just hopeful we can just get through tonight and then get to that off day.
Same row, Fabian.
Yeah, Dave, it seemed like Jack was kind of shaking his leg there, that pitch right before the Stanton home run. Was that something that maybe was part of why you kind of pulled him after that first pitch to Jazz?
There's his hamstring tightened up a little bit. So I don't think it's going to be a big deal, but that's why he was shaking his leg, yeah.
And then you guys have had stretches over the last couple of years where you guys have not been as good against left-handed pitching, and I think now you guys have the best OPS against lefties in baseball this year. What do you think has allowed this lineup to maybe be better against lefties?
Well, I think that, the guys that we put on the roster, that we compose this roster, there's guys that are supposed to hit lefties. Their career track record speaks to that, and they've just performed. I think that with baseball, at any point in time, you can kind of struggle, and that's part of hitting is hard. But Teo's been good. Will Smith has been good. Obviously, Tommy's been a huge addition versus left-handed pitching. And then, Freddie and Shohei just sort of hang in there, and Mookie's been good. So, on paper, which we all know it doesn't, you don't play on paper. We line up, and we still got our work cut out tonight. It's going to be heavy velocity and then, breaking balls down below. So if we're good in the strike zone, we should have a good night.
Ron right up front.
Which of your teammates back in the minors first named you Hit Doctor, and who shortened it to Doc?
I think it was a guy named Mac White. South Carolina Gamecock. We played together our first year in Jamestown.
Did he do both, or did he Hit Doctor? And
you know what? I know that's where the name Doc came from. So I probably self-proclaim myself the Hit Doctor, I guess.
Go to Barry up front.
Hey, Doc. So really, you've been involved in two of the greatest games in history against the Yankees, 2004 and this one last night. How did the two compare?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's different from the two different vantage points. Right. One being a player, one being a manager. I just think that, gosh, man, that's a good one. I think for me, that just World Series Game 1, where we were at, it's right up there, but I might give this one a little nod. They both feel great.
You do realize that most of the great games in baseball history involved the Yankees and the Dodgers, or both.
Yeah, I do. That's just, two huge markets, great players, and, obviously, which creates great moments. Absolutely, Bear.
A couple more. 5 rows back on your right.
Can I ask about Gratterall's barehanded play and just sort of like what it says about his composure, mind state to make a play like that in that situation?
Yeah, I'm happy he made the play. It wasn't Tom Amansky-esque, but I'm happy he made the play, and yeah, he's very comfortable fielding his position however he goes about it.
Anything else for Doc? Eric?
Dave, we haven't seen the lineup. I know you said Kike is going to play. Is he at second? Is that your plan?
Kike is at second. Tommy will be in center. Miggy Rowe will be at short.
Last question or two. All right, Doc, thanks so much.
All right, thanks, guys.